Good morning, everybody. It's John for Father's Rights and my anti-human trafficking page, YouTube channel, I'm sorry. And also we're going to add in my anti-child neglect and abuse. Today we're going to go over why I acted the way I did. Because I'm a factual person, I go on stone cold facts. And the facts are, with my child, I feel she's in extreme jeopardy because she's in the hands of the person that neglected her. And she's also in the hands of some of the family members of my wife, who actually, historically, through 3 generations, have abused their children to the point where 2/3 of the children were dead. Some were raped, some were institutionalized. Some of them have severe mental problems. Now my daughter is having problems where she needs to see a psychiatrist 3 times a week. And when she was with me, she didn't need any of that. When your child has to email you to say, "Mom, one of the kids in school is bullying me," it's because the parent doesn't listen to the child. I listen to my child. I have helped her with her problems before, to the point where I used to help my daughter with a problem that nobody else would. And after my daughter realized I resolved the problem, she gave me a hug. That was the best hug in the world. I actually felt love for my child so much that she knew I cared. But somebody who's trying to avoid accountability for their actions of neglecting their child will turn around and say the other parent was being abusive, make up lies. You give them a little control, men, listen to me. You give them a little control, and they're going to start abusing you. It's just a fact. And I'm going to show you where I get my facts from. We're going to go over that. Now, everybody's familiar. If you do studies, you read studies, you get information and data, you go to the National Institute of Studies, right? Now, when my wife wasn't taking my child to school, the first thing I realized, through experience of myself and other children that I grew up with, they know what we're talking about here. Children seized by the state, right, are more likely to die than if they stay with the abusive parent. And I actually seen that happen. So of course I was critical on that, telling my wife, you need to take her to school before CPS comes over here and takes her away from both of us. So my wife continued that activity, and she had to be stopped because I don't want my daughter going into foster care. Yet she'll turn around and say, I was trying to put my daughter in foster care. You see, this is reflective behavior because they know they were wrong in what they did, so they try to avoid accountability and blame the stuff that they were doing on somebody else. Now here comes the stone cold facts. This is why I'm taking my daughter away from her mother, and I'm going to get 100% custody. This family, when it comes to children, they have several criminal charges. Now again, children seized by the state are more likely to die than they were if they were left with the supposed neglector. Okay? 68% of maltreated children are victimized by the female parent or guardian, which is my wife's family. They're the poster boy for abusing children and proving this. The numbers I just gave you 100% correct, because 2/3 of their children in 3 generations aren't amongst us anymore. The parents have outlived their children because they weren't taking care of them right and they were neglecting them. Some of them were denied medical care, and of course that person had to go blame the nearest male. Well, I didn't get off the couch and take my daughter to dialysis because you wouldn't drive me. Not realizing the guy is working a 12-hour day and he can't be 2 places at once. And they were too lazy and dumb to get a driver's license. Of course, 48% of males do neglect their children in some way. I'm not one of them. You can ask my daughter. When she had a problem, there was only one person that was there for her, including in the school she went to, and her mother. Women just abuse children more often and neglect them. That's a fact. And if you don't like it, well, too damn bad. It's time for some accountability. And the court system in New York City needs to start taking these facts in accountability, or these children are doomed. Public schools, okay, and say wayward children institutions. Now, this is a fact. The data just points it out. When men are in charge of a public school or a home for runaways or something like that, when men are in charge where the guards are all male, the children get abused less. That's just a fact. When there's female guards or a woman running the institution, the abuse of the children skyrocket. Now, I know examples where a child was in a foster home and the female was the one doling out the beatings with sticks or whatever she had at hand, okay? Not the male. Though the male turned out to be very verbally abusive, he barely laid hands on the children. It was the female that was going out and taking the hands of the child and putting them on a fire grate and burning them, accusing them of all kinds of stuff. And I just think what was going on there is that the female is there's higher chances of a female being more emotionally unbalanced than the male. And it was reflected in the activity of abuse. You could see it. Some people could be there and experienced firsthand of the abuse. It's always coming from the female. And this has to be taken in consideration. But what here we got in New York City is a bureaucracy of wokeness, okay? Where the woman declares she's always right. You go into court, there's a place over there, women's services, but yet you don't see anything for men. Men, you're shit out of luck. Now, when somebody calls the police on you because you didn't, this is an incident, when somebody calls the police because you didn't paint a room the color that your female partner wanted, and she calls the police and gets you arrested for you, that's fucking abuse. Being thrown in the cell and confined for 2 days in a smelly, dirty cell with no place to sleep, it satisfies the jealousy, the envy, the spite of these emotionally deranged females. A lot of them they're running around calling everybody else insane, and they're the ones that need to go to a psychologist, okay? You don't sit here and abuse people and lie on them and walk away with no guilt unless you're mentally ill. So again, the stats say it. The child, 68% of the time when they're getting abused and neglected, it's the females. I know you females, a lot of you are not going to like that. But if you got grandchildren and you don't know this female too well, you better keep your eyes on them. Because today's modern woman, these women here, you older ladies outdo them in everything. But for some reason they crave attention, and if they don't get it, they blame everybody else for holding them back, and then they go on their revenge tour. And they got a whole bunch of like-minded women that go, take them along for the ride. So basically what they're doing is selling out the male family members and using them as their emotional piñata. And then when they're not around, guess who's left to be the emotional piñata now? The children. Facts are facts. I don't care what anybody says. If the female, in my case, The child neglect was evident. The school reported it, not me. But of course, my wife turned around and said I was the one calling CPS. No, I wasn't. I was responding to the calls from CPS when they started calling me saying, hey, your wife's not sending the kids to school. What's going on here? Have you had any contact? We haven't seen your daughter in 59 straight days. She missed school. And then what's thimble brain do? Well, it's your fault. And then here's another part. This is where you know what's going on. When you see this woman, her family gave away a girl to a pedophile, and my wife knew about it. She should be shamed, mocked, isolated. You do not stay around people like that. They're hiding it. And how they try to hide it, I'm insane. Yeah, well, I don't come from a family where the children have been murdered and nobody knows what happened. Nor do they care to find out what happened. The child's been raped. Oh, well, we can't let anybody know that. That reflects badly on us because we're in the foster care system and they'll take away my foster care license and then they'll stop giving me money. Hey, Mr. Pedophile, do you want this kid? Yeah, take her across state lines and continue to abuse her. That's New York City. That's right. That's what we got today, fellas. And then they wonder why men are avoiding women at all cost. I learned from the young men. We're not seeing beautiful women, ladies. We're seeing monsters. And on that, I'm out of here.